अब हम जगदीशन जी से मैं निवेदन करूंगा कि एनाटॉमी और फिजियोलॉजी रिलेटेड टू न्यूरोमस्कुलर और एक विषय भी भाई साहब को दिया गया है। ये विषय मेरे ख्याल से मैं सोचता हूँ कि समय के अंदर 11:30 पौने 12 तक ख़त्म हो जाएगा। उसके बाद हमारे समय ठीक है, हम भोजन के लिए जाएंगे और पौने 1 बजे तक भोजन समाप्त करके अपने इधर आ जाएंगे। जगदीशन जी, थैंक यू।
Before there's some technical, before that we'll have a brief introduction. Today's topic is nervous system. सुना रहे हैं आप? आवाज कम है। हेलो, अभी आ रहा है? So today's topic is nervous system. It's just not nervous system. So I have planned it in such a way that at the end of the session you will have a little bit of exposure on the anatomy and physiology, why we need to know about the anatomy and physiology, and how the knowledge of anatomy and physiology is applied for healing patients through neurotherapy. And there are some case studies. At the end of this one more topic has also been given to me, that is regarding Parkinson's. So I don't know whether the time is sufficient to cover all these topics, but anyway I'll just try my level best. And also, since here you have seniors, you have people who have just entered this therapy, and people who have spent moderate amount of time in this therapy. So I have structured this session in such a way that it will cater to the needs of everyone. It might not be totally very basic, at the same time it not be too advanced, and also we need not know much about anatomy and physiology, and it is subjective, and each one should decide to what extent you should know about the anatomy and physiology, so that it helps in applying elementary techniques to heal people. So first we start with defining a nervous system. What is nervous system? Why do we need a nervous system? The nervous system is a system which is all pervasive, and it plays a role in every part of the human life, every day. If you see, it is a system which it's a regulatory system. It regulates both your physical as well as your non-physical higher level functions. If you see any other system, it is mostly restricted to the physical aspect of the human body, whereas this is one system which has both the physical as well as the non-physical aspect of regulation. In other words, it has both software as well as hardware regulation. Just a minute. Hello? Hello? This nervous system is basically a control system. Like for instance, you have a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, it will run, but just because the two-wheeler can run doesn't mean that it will take you to your destination. If you need to go use the two-wheeler or four-wheeler to reach your destination, you need to have clutch, brakes, accelerator, indicators, steering wheel, etc. So only that will ensure that you reach your destination, not only reach your destination safely. So this is what the nervous system does, and as usual, in the 15 years that I have been practicing and my interaction with the people who come to us with so many problems, what I have observed that the human body is a complex system and it is integrated. It consists of so many subsystems which are integrated, which interact within themselves as well as they interact with the outside environment. It's a complex system. We don't know where any change in any one system or any change in the environment will have an absolute effect on the human body. When we said that the system is a control system, if you see, this just an indicative or the most important aspects which it controls: brain growth and development, perception. Perception is what is perception? Perception is how somebody understands something. In a group of 10 people, if you present one particular concept, 10 people will understand it in 10 different ways. So it is, they may be right, they may understand it correctly, or they may not understand it correctly. But whatever they understand or whatever they grasp is called perception. Thought and emotions, these are all non-physical aspects. Learning and memory, sensations, movement, balance and coordination. If you see somebody who is doing a very good Kathak performance, or somebody who is doing a very good Bharatanatyam performance, or if you see a Michael Jackson performance, it is the nervous system which helps to give you that output. Without the nervous system, nobody can give you that performance. Somebody is giving you a very good rendition of vocal, all those things. Then comes sleep, healing and rehabilitation, stress and the body's response to stress, aging, breathing, heartbeat, body temperature, hunger, thirst and digestion, puberty, reproductive health and fertility. So this nervous system ultimately has the control over the biological clock of the human body. So in the entire existence of the human body, at various periods of time, at various points of time, certain changes, important changes take place. Those important changes are regulated, are being done at a predetermined specific timely interval. That is being regulated by the nervous system. For the purpose of study, the nervous system is divided into two systems, two broad systems. One is the central nervous system, the other one is the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord, whereas again the peripheral nervous system consists of two types of system. One is the autonomic nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system in turn consists of sympathetic, parasympathetic and enteric nervous system, and then you have the somatic nervous system. So this is just the broad division of the nervous system. Sincerely, if you ask me, this division is only meant for us to study, to understand the things. The body doesn't work like this. Body doesn't bifurcate into two different systems and into subsystems. It is just to understand and to have a better appreciation of what is going on. It has been divided. So as we see, that central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Regarding this brain, if you see, there are so much of literature on this. The brain is present in all the living things. This is a list of most common and facts which are relevant to us in the endeavor to heal people. So the first one is, what are the contents of the brain? The brain contains the brain is made up of 85% of water and 10% of fat. And also the brain is made of fat, but it runs on glucose. One important unique feature of this brain is the absorption of glucose. In brain, the glucose is absorbed directly. It does not require insulin. That is why if you see a diabetic patient, in a chronic diabetic patient, the brain is not affected, because for uptake of glucose in the brain, you don't require insulin. It is taken directly, because the requirement of energy for the brain, for the nutrients for the brain, is in a very narrow range. If it goes down even for a very short period, you will faint or you will go into coma. There are about 100 billion cells, of which we are using only 4% of this. And in terms of consumption of the body's energy, the total energy produced in the body, it consumes around 20%. And the brain's structure, size is not static throughout the human's life. At a younger age, the composure and the texture of the brain in the younger age is different from when they are old, because as you progress in life, you come across so many things, you see so many things, you learn so many things, you imbibe so many things, and you store so many things. As your memory grows, there are so many convolutions in the brain, so the structure of the brain changes over a period of time. And though we call them as neuronal cells, they are different in one aspect, is there is no cell division in the nervous cells. The nerve cells don't divide, they don't proliferate through the system of mitosis or meiosis. A nerve cell, as long as it functions, well and good. If it stops functioning, that means if it is dead, then gone. The function of that nerve cell will be taken over by some adjacent cell or a new connection, which is called plasticity. It is now believed that it was all along believed that once the nerve cells die, it cannot be replaced. But now many research has been done and found that even neuronal cells can be produced or replaced through stem cells. These are all facts. Average brain weight is 1300 grams in male and 1200 grams around in females. And every year you lose 2.7 grams to 2.2 grams. So this is basically a picture of the brain. This is supposed to be the parts of the brain. There are four main parts. One is the brain stem, cerebellum, cerebrum, cerebellum, and diencephalon. This brain stem is very important because it is otherwise known as medulla oblongata, And as far as our therapy is concerned, we extensively use the treatment of medulla, and by use of that medulla treatment, we stimulate this area. And the importance of this brain stem is that it controls and regulates the automatic functions. Automatic functions like your heartbeat, breathing, etc., which nature has found in its immense wisdom not to give it under your control. It has made provisions for those things to happen automatically. Otherwise, what will happen is, as forgetfulness as we are, we might forget to breathe, we might forget to allow the heart to beat. So that is why it is done in automatic, this one, and also it controls your reflexes. The moment you touch a hot object, you withdraw your hands. The moment you step on some thorn or some stone, you immediately remove your foot. These are all reflexes which is controlled by the brainstem. Cerebrum. Cerebrum is the most bulkiest part in the brain, and it is divided into left and right hemisphere. And the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body, the right hand, right leg, all the right side, all the internal organs on the right side, and the right side controls the left side of the body, both the internal and external parts of the body. And more importantly, it is also responsible for higher order thinking. Like supposing somebody gives you a complex mathematical problem and you need to solve, say, a 4th degree quadratic equation, or you need to solve you need to write a big program. You are a computer engineer, and you need to write a big program. All these higher level functions, it is the work of the cerebrum. And it itself contains four kinds of lobes, which we will see later. And then comes the cerebellum. It is responsible for maintaining balance, coordinating movement, vision, motor learning, etc. Now in this, maintaining balance we all know, coordinating movement we know. Coordinating movement is like how in the karate or in the kung fu, how they coordinate the movements. Vision we know. What is motor learning? Motor learning is a learning which your physical parts learn by themselves. You see Diego Maradona juggling, you see Ronaldinho juggling, you see somebody in the circus juggling clubs or this one. These are all motor functions that automatically it is pre-programmed out of practice. It gets pre-programmed in your limbs and legs, so that the moment the mind gives the command, the arms and legs will start. So that is called. The other portion is diencephalon, which is divided into epithalamus, thalamus, subthalamus and hypothalamus, of which are important. We are more concerned with hypothalamus because we stimulate hypothalamus on various occasions in many treatments to heal people. So this is the broad division. This division is not going to help you, but at least you should know the basics of how the brain is structured. So I told you this, there are 4 lobes in the cerebrum, which is called the parietal lobe, occipital lobe, cerebral lobe, temporal lobe and frontal lobe, and all these lobes, they have very distinct functions and important functions. Which is, if you see the frontal lobe, it deals with behavior, intelligence, memory and movement. The temporal lobe deals with behavior, learning, memory, speech, vision. Brain stem deals with blood pressure, breathing, consciousness, because in this brain stem there are receptors which inspect the blood flow and all that to find out what is going on in the system. optical lobe is regarding vision, and parietal lobe is regarding intelligence, language, reading and sensations. Now today we are seeing this. Today we have only one treatment, which is one pit which we give to send the blood flow to the brain. Tomorrow we don't know. Tomorrow we might develop treatments where we will be able to stimulate that particular region or that particular part of the brain. So at that time we should know which part of the brain you need to stimulate in order to heal or deal with the problem. So this is just a since the brain is a very important part of the body, it is also, like for instance, the Prime Minister is given the Z+, the maximum security in this country, because he is very important. He is the nerve center. He is the center from which the entire nation functions. Like that, the brain also is protected by a skull and so many layers of cushion between the skull and the brain, which you have. If you have a bony layer of skull, and below that there are 3 layers. The 3 layers are dura mater. Dura mater means tough matter. And then you have arachnoid matter. Arachnoid means, in foreign language, it is spider. So just because it is like a spider web, it is called arachnoid matter. And then you have something called the pia matter, which is soft, and you need all this so that the brain has a, because supposing you bang your head against a wall, or you are in an accident, it should, because the brain is so soft and it is just like a jelly, this one, it should not undergo any damage. So all this protection is meant there. And between these layers there is a space which is filled by the cerebrospinal fluid, and through this cerebrospinal fluid the brain, the nutrients and other things which are required for the proper functioning of the brain as well as development of the brain, it is transferred. This is called cerebrospinal fluid because this fluid circulates between the spinal cord as well as the brain, cerebrum. And that is why if you see, whenever you have a problem like a brain infection, meningitis, encephalitis, or for that matter dengue, which all affects the brain, in order to check, in order to diagnose what is it, they make a lumbar puncture, extract the cerebrospinal fluid and do the test, so that they know what is wrong with the supply chain to the brain. This is how it is. If you see, on the top you have the skin, then you have the bone, then the dura mater, arachnoid matter and the pia mater. And here if you see, this is the normal meningitis, this is the infected. So if you see this particular portion, when it is normal, it is like this. If it is infected, it will become like this. If you see, you see there is a color difference. You see this particular the inflammation here. So all these areas are affected in a person who has been suffering from infection. In the brain there is supposed to be 2 types of matters. One is called the grey matter and the other one is called the white matter. And if you see, the grey matter, it receives and stores impulses and contains cell bodies it contains actual cell bodies. Whereas the white matter does not have cell bodies, it has only connections. And if you see, the male brains have more grey matter, whereas the female brains have more white matter content. And also it has been observed that men have about 6.5 times the mass of grey matter compared to the overall intelligence of women. Because probably that is why you see, because there are too many connections in the ladies, their reactions and their response is more faster than the gents. This is what. So if you see, this is just a picture. If you this is the grey matter and this is the white matter. The brain has one more defense mechanism, which is called the blood-brain barrier. Now this blood-brain barrier is a unique, this one, which is applicable to the one particular organ, which is the brain. A similar barrier is also available called the blood testis barrier. In the males, there is a barrier, similar barrier, which does not allow unwanted infectious material to go and affect the testes. Similar is this blood-brain barrier. So this blood-brain barrier is nothing but a more like for instance, you have so many filtering devices at home. You have filtering devices for filtering the dough, atta, then you have filtering devices for tea, coffee, and down south we have a filtering device for filtering the rice. I don't know whether you have it here in the north. In the down south, Jaladan, we call it Jaladai. There, once the rice is dehusked, to remove the husk from the rice, there is a big sort of filter with big holes. So similar like that, here the blood vessels which supply blood to the brain, those blood vessels, the walls are enmeshed with tight junctions, so that only those material which are conducive to the brain pass through that filter.